You're listening to Mad Radio. Mad Radio. Mad Radio. Make a difference.
Quick, me lads! Hoist the rigging! Aye, Captain! Splice the main brace! Batten down the hatches!
Aye, Captain.
I'm going below deck to get the show started. And now, he's more shiftier than a cat clock on crack. It's Mr. Crazy Side-Eye Smelly Pants himself, Brandon McCarty.
Well, thank you, Petey. Hey, welcome in, all you scallywags, you swashbucklers, you landlubbers, hornswogglers, and salty dogs to the Peg Leg Podcast, a show where we delve into the lives of fellow pirates and learn a bit more about the unsung heroes among us all. Arr! This week we travel to the Morris Building to speak with an individual who is a first-generation college student from Oakland, California. She is a product of the CSU system with four degrees, one from Fresno State, that's a BA in Communications, News and Public Affairs, Sac State with a master's in Educational Leadership in Higher Education Administration and Policy, also San Jose State with a master's in education, focusing on school counseling and student personnel, and 2 pupil personnel services credentials in school counseling and child welfare, and attendance for K-12. Also, she attended Cal State East Bay and got her EDD in Educational Leadership in Social Justice. She has over 25 years of experience specifically in student services in 3 California educational systems, including the K-12 system, the CSU system, and now the community college system. She is a proud wife, celebrating 30 years this summer. She's been married to her high school sweetheart that whole time. And now she's currently enjoying the empty nester life. And I can't wait to do that. I've got a couple of years to go. Man, she is a proud mom of 3. She has a daughter who is a UCLA graduate, a son currently a junior at Morehouse College in Atlanta, and a bonus son who is a graduate of Fresno State. Hey, and check this out. She was born in San Francisco, raised in Oakland. She grew up a 49er fan, me too, thanks to her dad, and is a die-hard fan. Well, guess what? She married a die-hard Raider fan. And we're going to talk about that also in the show as well. So, of course, she has to cheer for both teams. She is a Warriors fan. Boo. I'm a Kings fan. But, and she is the middle sibling of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, she is the VP of Student Services. Please welcome to the poop deck, Dr. Andrea Wilson.
Thank you. Nice intro.
You got a whole bunch of stuff you've done.
Just a little bit. A little something.
Yes. So, how did you find your way to MJC?
Very randomly. After working at Cal State East Bay for probably pushing 11, 12 years, as the associate vice president there, when I started at Cal State East Bay, I was the director of student health and counseling services, and then was promoted to associate vice president.
Okay.
But my portfolio kept expanding, and similar to K-12, you kind of reach a plateau where it's like not much more.
You could become the superintendent, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah. But in the way I explain it in the CSU system, there's only 23 VP spots because only 23 schools.
Oh, okay.
But the community college system is 100 plus VP spots, and that's clearly the next level after an associate vice president. So
right.
The way I ended up at Modesto, quite honestly, being from the Bay Area, my husband and I were looking to move to the central area, really looking at like Tracy, Manteca, Lathrop, those areas. So we were looking at moving this way anyway and commuting back to the Bay.
Oh.
And I just happened to, which now I'm glad that didn't happen because that commute is a beast.
Yes.
But when I was just looking for VP spots, I saw Modesto. And I'm like, oh, so that's the commute the different way, the opposite way. It was just, I'm just going to throw my hat in the ring and see see what happens. And voila, I'm in Modesto.
Bam! That's just how it happened.
That's just how it happened.
So where do you live now? Where?
We purchased a home in Patterson.
Oh, okay.
So
okay.
very, very nice and chill, very relaxed. It's just, little old Patterson, and I'm happy to be in. It's just nice and peaceful and restful, but that's where we landed at.
Man, I think you're the second person now who has come out of Patterson. And I got to get down there. They're saying there's a lot of great things that are coming out of Patterson.
Definitely.
Well, so you grew up in San Francisco or
in Oakland. I grew up in Oakland. Yep.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that.
Born in San Francisco. We moved to Oakland probably when I was 4 or 5. 'Cause I started kindergarten K through 12 is all Oakland. So,
okay.
My siblings and I did the Catholic school life. So our parents put us in Catholic education system.
Catechism and stuff.
Yeah, so K through 8 one school, St. Louis Bertrand, which is ride or die in Oakland, and also St. Elizabeth in Oakland High School. So my siblings and I went through those 2 schools, and really from East Oakland. Both schools are in East Oakland. Grew up in East Oakland, and yeah, just I'm an Oakland native. And I ride or die Oakland.
So did you get in any trouble?
Absolutely not.
Oh, right.
So
yeah.
no, I was the sports person. So in elementary and middle school, I'm playing volleyball, softball, basketball, track. So I'm doing all those. Those sports.
Okay. Well, I guess you were pretty busy then. You couldn't have.
Yeah,
You couldn't have found any trouble.
No. Parents both work for the local transit system in the Bay Area. So AC Transit, they both work for there. I had a dependent pass for the bus system so I can ride any place in the Bay Area because my parents both work for the system.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what are some of your hobbies outside of work?
Outside of work, love to do stuff with family. Like when we have family get-togethers or a holiday, the whole family gets together. So most of us are very local. So when the family comes together, we come together. So that's a highlight I could just randomly send a text out and say dinner at my house on Sunday, and everybody's coming through.
Going to show up.
Everybody's coming through.
What are you cooking on Sunday?
Oh, soul food for sure.
Okay.
Soul food for sure. But the way my siblings and I do it, especially for the holidays, everyone has their main dishes that you bring.
Right.
And you really have to be great to be on the plate. So we really are. Not that it's a competition, but you have to earn a spot on the in a main dish item.
So are they bringing their best on maybe the not so major holidays to go ahead and to try to get a spot during
it's unlikely for if you're on utensils and cups and napkins or if
you've done something wrong,
right?
Just bring some bread.
If you're on desserts or something like that, or you're bringing rolls, that's probably a sign you're not a cook. You're not a cook in the family. But everyone has their certain dishes that we know certain people are bringing certain items, and you have to really want to compete for a spot to for the family to make a decision if you've earned a spot on the plate. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Nice. What other hobbies do you have outside of work?
Love to go see movies. Just saw Creed on Sunday. Excellent. Loved it. Love to travel. Love to travel with family. Hanging out with my kids when they're in town. Like I said, we're empty nesters now, which is just a joy in and of itself. But the kids are home just a couple weeks ago. My youngest son was on spring break, but it was also my mother-in-law's birthday. So it was the first time the 3 of them were in the house, probably since the holiday. So to have, a 20-year-old to a 29-year-old, the 3 of them in the house was like they were elementary school kids. Oh. But I enjoyed getting up, cooking breakfast every morning, and just hanging with them. So I love the family thing.
And then you knew that they could leave, they were going to leave.
Spring break's over. You're driving back home. You're driving back home. Love you, but you gotta go. And that next weekend, I did nothing. But it was a series of 4 weekends where it was family over every weekend. And when the weekend it wasn't, I enjoyed doing absolutely nothing. Because I could also be an introvert. I'm an introvert at heart. My husband's more of an extrovert.
You when you're not doing too much of anything, you're just at home.
I'm just at home,
relaxing,
chilling out, relaxing.
Excellent.
Yep. watching reality TV, which I probably shouldn't be watching.
No.
But I'm bad at that.
What's one of your favorite shows
All the
to watch?
housewife shows.
Oh, of course.
A lot of stuff on Bravo. I know I shouldn't, but that's like a relax.
It's a guilty pleasure.
It's
That's
a guilty
fine.
pleasure. You go home from work and you're dealing with so much other stuff, so you come home and it's just
You want somebody else's drama, not your
let
own.
me see how the craziness in their lives that's not in my
That's
life.
right. Then it makes it look like it's not so bad.
Exactly. My life looks easy compared to some of the
That's
stuff.
why my wife watches that stuff. I was wondering. Okay.
Yeah, the joy in other people's lives.
Interesting.
For sure.
What is something that you pride yourself in?
Family. Really family. Like I say, we definitely are a tight knit group. Love to do things together. You know, some families have, siblings upset with each other. We just don't have that. So it's like we're really really close. I pride myself on, I'm also the caretaker of my 93-year-old grandmother, and she is hilarious. She's hilarious. She lives in her own senior citizen place, but to go there and hang out and hear the senior stories,
That's as good as the Bravo stuff, right?
it's like reality TV.
Oh my gosh.
It's like reality TV. So stopping by there to visit with her, especially if they're doing bingo and watching these little elderly folks, and they are ride or die if you don't know what you're doing when you're coming and playing. But yeah, hanging with my 93-year-old grandmother is hilarious and a lot of fun as well. So I pride hanging out with her.
What motivates you?
My children, also my parents. My parents passed in 2008 and 2009, like back to back. It really happened really quickly. But just doing things to know that they would be proud of. So I think being a first generation college student and the first of my family to go to college, even my children, they're the only ones in the family to go to college in their generation as well. But being the first and that resource for the rest of the family or friends or neighborhood folks to reach out and want some information or some support or some resources, I'm that person. So I really enjoy that. So yeah, I think I do for my kids, because you always want a better life for your kids than you have for yourself.
Yes.
Number one. But also just, to represent my parents as well.
What do you like about the MJC community as a whole?
As a whole, can I break it up?
You could break it up.
Because student services is the bomb. I love the student services team. I love the student services team. They go hard for students, and they are willing to try some new stuff. So I'm not the person I'm like, just try something new, because insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. But I'm not afraid to let them try something new. And they're not afraid to try something new. Either it's going to fail or not, but we'll see what happens, what sticks. But the student services team adore them. That's my team. Like, I love my team, and they go hard for students. Obviously, the students. I mean, you have to love the students in the MJC community. I was just it's been a couple events lately. We've had the Hispanic Education Conference and the African American Education Conference, where just seeing our students who are presenting to some of the high schoolers and talking to them about things that they do and their experiences, the resilience within our students, the things that they've gone through and where they are and where they're trying to go is just amazing to hear and see their stories and to really be proud of the work that they're doing. And of course, the faculty and staff. Let me not leave out the faculty and staff.
Well, of
administrators.
course.
But like I say, student services, that is the team to be on, and the students are just
Right. Well,
number
without the
one.
students, we wouldn't even be there.
We
so.
wouldn't have jobs.
Exactly.
They run us.
Exactly. Now, so we kind of glossed over your 25 years of experience that you've had working the K-12 system and the CSUs and stuff. If you would kind of just give us that overview of where you were and what you were doing, kind of in the beginning of your career.
For the K-12 system, when I worked for Hayward Unified School District, and I've only worked for one school district, but I had like 5 different positions there. But I actually started off as a truant officer. So I was actually the person.
Really?
I was actually the person going to students' homes who were not coming to school. But that's almost like the window to student services because you really start to know and understand the barriers as to why some students didn't want to come to school. And it varied from elementary, because for elementary, I just blame parents. Like, if for whatever reason is their responsibility. Middle school gets a little different because it's reasons why they're not coming to school, not feeling welcome, feeling some type of way, how the teacher's treating them or how other students are treating them, bullying, not feeling like they could be their self. And then high school, a whole nother beast. But to me, that gave you the window of these are some of the barriers why students don't want to be in school. So I was a truant officer. I was a school guidance counselor, which I loved, for middle school. And middle school, that's an interesting group, but you still have an opportunity to kind of mold them.
Well, they're very moldable, absolutely.
But it was never a dull job because it was just,
right.
This is always some fun going on. And then I love to play sports against the payback with the students. So I was a truant officer, a school guidance counselor, high school assistant principal. Loved that too. It's just fun when you're working with students because you remember how it was when you were in school and how you felt. And so high school assistant principal, and then the district office, I was a coordinator of intervention and prevention programs, oversaw counseling services, student and parent support programs, and the after school programs for middle and high school. So I love the K-12 system, but it, again, like I mentioned, you kind of plateau out where it's not much more you can do besides I could have been, director of student services or like an associate superintendent. But again, if people weren't moving out of those spaces, that elevation to the CSU, again, learning something new, similar to the community college system, it was just fun to get in, being the person from the outside, bringing a different perspective in. Same thing in the community college system, coming in and coming from the outside. Because what I learned from Modesto and the folks who work at MJC is folks who've been there for a very long time, and generations, even yourself, generations of families and former students who work at MJC. So to come from the outside with a different perspective than folks who have only seen MJC experience, to be able to share that knowledge. And again, that's probably why I encourage folks to just try some new stuff, because that's the exciting part, coming from the CSU, because it's almost like the things that I did in the CSU are things that MJC is trying to do now. And it's people who are eager for change and excited about making some moves.
It's interesting that way, isn't it?
Yeah. So that's why I say I love student services, because they are just down for the ride and just let's try some new stuff here. So I'm excited about that.
And then you've got the element of a lot of these folks are probably going to stay within the area, right?
Exactly.
And so what I find interesting is that you ultimately get to impact your community.
Exactly. And that was actually one of the questions when I had my first meeting with the entire division. I did like a quick little survey to ask like who were like from Modesto, who graduated from MJC. Those numbers were so high. It's folks who've always been a part of this community. So, which is great because they bring the history and the knowledge of the community and the history of MJC. But the great thing about being from the outside, again, is I don't have to carry that history.
Right.
So
yes.
I'm glad you guys tried that
you
20
got
years
some
ago.
Fresh perspective on
right,
things.
Exactly. So to see the generations of employees, of students is just, I did that survey for immediately to just kind of see who was in student services. And like I said, it's people who are willing and able and eager to turn the corner. And I'm excited about leading that effort.
Where are some of your favorite places to eat?
That's a hard question because I'm honestly still getting to know Modesto. Like, I any place that has seafood, I'm a fan of. I go back to the Bay Area a lot, so I probably go at least once or twice a month. But there's this little place in the Bay Area, in Oakland actually, called Chef Smelly's.
Chef Smelly's. He
started off like a pop-up shop at certain places in the Bay. Now he has a place downtown. But like the best garlic crab. If you just looked up his Instagram and saw the pictures of Chef Smelly's food, I mean, it's probably, lots of butter, lots of stuff that's probably going to clog your arteries later.
Right.
But it's great when you're eating it. So he like the best garlic crab, garlic noodles, just garlic shrimp. Like all the stuff that he has is just... You just have to pull up his Instagram and just look at the pictures. Then you'll see what I'm talking about.
And is it easy to find, or is it just kind of...
It's easy to find.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, it started off as a pop-up shop in certain places in Oakland, but now he has a restaurant in downtown Oakland that's pretty popular. pretty popular.
Interesting. I'll have to take a trip over there then. If you would, tell us a funny story or experience. It could be either professionally or personally.
Well, I tell you the most recent one that was a funny one. So my grandmother, who turned 93 in February,
Yes.
we rented a party bus, and so she's a big bingo and casino person, right?
Yeah.
So taking her to bingo, we did a party at the big bingo hall for her because she has a regular bingo hall she goes to. The whole family came and did a party, but then the following 2 days later, we rented a party bus to go to the casino, and so my 93-year-old grandmother, her 88-year-old cousin, and her 80-year-old little sister, along with my cousins and some other family members, took this party bus, and they were like 20-year-olds. We're playing like all the old school music, like Tina Turner, Aretha Franklin, the Temptations. We're playing all this old school music, and thank goodness we didn't have a pole on that. But it was just so much joy to watch them have fun, and she just enjoyed herself. So to just see the joy on her face of going to the casino, finding her favorite, and she's in a wheelchair, so I'll just roll her right to her favorite machine, and she just loves that. So I might be taking her back this weekend. We'll see, but she's already been asking me, so when are we going back to Grayton?
and of course, those photos will never see the light of day, right?
Oh, they've seen the light of day.
Oh, okay.
But it was just a lot of fun to just see women who have been through so much. But to see, like, literally, like, if they were 20-year-olds just having a good time, because you had, like, the bar in there, you had food and drink and everything, on that ride up there, and it was just the coolest thing ever. And people always think my grandmother's my mom because she looks pretty, she looks pretty young,
right?
For 93. But if you see her with me, a lot of people think she's our mother and she's our grandmother. But it was the coolest.
That's awesome.
That was fun.
I guess you finally get to an age to where you're like, you don't care about anything. I'm just going to do what I want, when I want, how I want to do it.
Oh, trust and believe. That's what she does. So sometimes,
oh, good.
If the senior home doesn't have the food that she likes, she'll call me and say, order me some DoorDash. So I order her the meal that she wants and send it. But she's like, my granddaughter will send me something over here. I'm not going to eat this stuff today. So, yeah, definitely that age where you just do what you want to do and call the shots when you want to.
That's hilarious.
She's very much in her right mind. And we'll let you know.
Who would you say has been your biggest influence, either personally or professionally or even both?
Okay, I can actually say both. So the person who came to my high school from outreach services at Fresno State, she was there doing recruitment at my high school, went to Fresno State because of her, right? African American women said, if you come here, and remember, I'm first generation college student, I don't know anything about college whatsoever. But she really said, like, if you come to Fresno State, I'll make sure. She became my mentor. She's my mentor to this day. So I worked for, which also gave me the bug to work in student services. So I ended up working for her in outreach services. They had a program called like the College Readiness Program. So I would go to middle and high schools to talk to students about coming to college. Right. So kind of what she did with me, I was doing as a freshman and sophomore and junior at Fresno State. So that gave me the bug to want to work in higher ed. So she worked at the CSU at Fresno State for quite some time. Now she works for the community college system. When I was making the decision to leave Cal State East Bay to come to community college, she was the first person I called. Now remember, I've known her since I was 17 and she still works in higher ed. And what's crazy is that her, myself, and now my daughter all work in the community college system. So my daughter used to work for UC. Now she works for community college system. I work for CSU. Now I work for community college system. So we go to these conferences. It's very crazy to be at these professional conferences together because she literally gave me a baby shower for my daughter after I got married. So it's just crazy to see the three of us. But she's been my mentor since day one and is still on my reference list for everything I apply for. Wow. But it's because of her. Like literally, she came to my high school and it's just, that's how it all started. So we go to these events. We were just at a conference a couple weeks ago. And so when she's always introducing me, she's the vice president of Modesto Junior College. And she was my student. Like I worked for her as a student assistant. So that's a pretty, personally and professionally, she has been a mentor to me and started me on this journey of student services.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, what would you say is the biggest difference between the CSU system and the CCC?
A lot of differences. And I'll back it up one more. So working for K-12 and going to the CSU, Loved the K-12 system. Loved having summers off. Loved the students. It's just different when you're working with, and I've worked at all the levels, elementary, middle, and high school. But then going to the CSU, just leaving K-12, going to the CSU, you're not dealing with parents anymore because now you're dealing with adults. So you still have helicopter parents, but that was probably the biggest difference, where you're not, walking into the grocery store having a parent-teacher conference because, you're running into parents. But from the CSU system to the community college system, a lot of new learnings, like very, very different, because from the CSU, you have like the one chancellor's office that kind of gives you everything for the 23, versus you have these 115 plus, community colleges where you're really doing your own thing based on your board. So that's that's the hugest shift right there. It's just how the different districts are run, versus at the CSU is very prescriptive as far as what everything coming out of the chancellor's office is what's expected to be done, versus you have these options in the community college system.
Okay.
But I think the governance piece, the shared governance piece, that whole structure is also very different for the community college system, as you don't have that for the CSU. That's probably the biggest, kind of just learning all the I won't say bureaucracy, but all the steps you have to go through and places you have to go to to make sure that you're, academic senate, college council. I'm like, how many different committees and things you have to go through? But that's a new learning. But it's been helpful to go to some of the conferences to really meet other VPs and learn and meet with them on a regular basis, because it's exciting because it's something new. It's like the CSU, I felt like it was nothing more besides, waiting for a VP spot to open, versus now it's like you're starting something new. So a lot of new learnings, which I appreciate, to be a constant learner too. So you never know everything, but give me a few years. I still feel like a novice, although I have experience in student services, but it's just, community college system it's a different type of system.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different type of system.
Man.
But I'm excited about it.
We could talk about that for probably the next hour,
right?
I'm sure.
Yeah.
If you had a free plane ticket to anywhere in the world, where would you go and why?
I really would like to see the Egyptian pyramids. I've always been kind of fascinated by that, and I would like to experience it in person. So that's probably what I would like to do.
Okay.
That's on the bucket list.
That's funny you mentioned that. I was reading a story the other day where somebody surmised that maybe those are actually capstones, that the rest of the thing it's like almost like underground. It just keeps going. Like it's just a big old, like a huge spire almost, if you will. Like, so I thought that was interesting. Like,
wow.
what if it was the top, and like everything else is buried? That'd be weird.
Right. Yeah, but I would be very curious to see that in person.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
That's on the list.
Interesting. Well, here's the question that I hope you don't have problems with. Everyone normally stumbles on this one, and it's just because, well, we don't really, I guess, listen to albums anymore. That's what I've been told anyway. I still do, but if you only had 3 albums that you could listen to for the rest of your life, what would they be and why?
I would choose. I grew up a Prince fan, not a Michael Jackson fan. I'm a Prince fan. I was devastated. Prince, I want to say Purple Rain, but I'm sure there's a greatest hits that has like everything.
Right.
But Prince was the first concert I ever went to. First concert ever at the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
Really?
Yes. But yeah, definitely would be Prince Purple Rain, hands down, or even the greatest hits, because I'm a diehard Prince fan. The second would probably be In Vogue, their first album. They're like the Supremes of my generation.
Right.
And going to Fresno State, I had that tape, and I would listen to it back and forth driving from Fresno back to the Bay. So that was just an album that I grew up on. The other, again, being from Oakland, would have to be Tupac. Would have to be, because I just grew up in the Bay. And
so you listened to Digital Underground before he broke off?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
Yeah,
again,
see.
I'm from Oakland, so I would have to throw Tupac in.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, I can't let you get away until we talk about this whole 49er Raider thing you got going on with your husband. How does that work? Are you guys always at odds? Or?
No. We're never at odds. So I grew up a diehard 49er fan because my dad was a diehard 49er fan. So I grew up a 49er fan. I married a Raider fan. So I have to walk that line of I cheer for the Raiders. I also cheer for the 49ers. I took my husband one time to a 49er game at the 49er stadium in San Francisco when they were still at the was it Cow Palace?
Candlestick.
Right. And he was so uncomfortable. He was so
Of course he was
so uncomfortable. But so I have to walk the line because I have to be true to my dad, but also I'm true as a wife too, so I have to support both. But like I mentioned that I took my husband to the Raider Kansas City game back in January and did the whole tour of the Allegiant Stadium, and coolest experience ever. So yeah, I that was my husband's Christmas present, was to go to the game and tour the stadium. And yeah, I got some wifey points on that one for sure.
Hopefully for a while, right?
Exactly, because I'm not buying any other tickets anytime soon. We'll wait till next year.
Man.
Yeah.
And you also are a Warriors fan.
Yes, huge Warrior fan. I felt some type of way when they went across the bay to San Francisco, because again, being from Oakland and seeing the Warriors leave, seeing the Raiders leave, this whole conversation about the A's who may do something else.
It's depressing.
So I felt some type of way when the Warriors went across the bay, but I did go to the very last game in the Oakland Coliseum, the very, very last game, which is just the best game to be at. And I just remember taking pictures, like driving out, because they still had the, when KD was still there, they still had like the big pictures of them outside of the Coliseum. So
right.
I love the Warriors. But when they went to San Francisco, I don't feel like it's convenient for fans. Can't just catch BART over there. Parking is a pain, but I felt since they went to San Francisco, like the game wasn't the same. The audience wasn't the same. But I recently went to a game a couple weekends ago where they went into overtime, and that was my first game going to since they've been in San Francisco, which is probably the best game to be at. So I'll take some slack off being in San Francisco, but it's nothing like being at a Warriors game in Oakland. It was just a different experience. But yeah, I love the Warriors. And I'm going to let go that they're in San Francisco now, but I will go to another game.
All right,
I will. But I can enjoy watching them on TV too, but it was a great game that I went to.
Do you have any parting words of encouragement for us?
Parting words of encouragement. I was just asked this question. I feel like I've been on panels recently for a lot. But yeah, I was just on a panel earlier this week, and my response to that question was be true to yourself. Always be true to yourself, and be very observant and strategic in the things that you choose to do or participate in. And then finally, that it's okay to say no. And that's a complete sentence with a period, because women tend to want to be super women and do everything, and sometimes it's okay just to say no. That would be my advice.
Excellent advice. Excellent advice. Andrea, thank you so much for being on the podcast, for allowing us to get a window into your life. And again, hey, you're a very, very busy person, so I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invite. This was fun.
Well, the winds are picking up and the barnacles are collecting on the bow. Time for us to set sail, me hearties. This episode was brought to you by Leisure Suit Larry's Yacht Rentals. Produced by the one, the only. That's all there is, folks. Edited by the parrot with a pirate's mouth. That's you, Patchy. And music by the Shiver Me Timbers Sing-Along Group. Hey, make sure you're doing some fun stuff during this spring/summer season. The sun is out, the guns are out. Well, okay, I gotta work on that, but have fun out there. And as always, remember to keep your booty close and your sword sharp.
lest you find yourself swabbing the deck on the bottom of Davy Jones's locker. Until we meet again.